So today in front of me from Blue Run Spirits, we have their Kentucky Straight Golden Rye Whiskey Batch 2. So following the success of Batch 1, which took gold in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, this batch is going to be living up to the same expectation. It's actually made up of 102 barrels, comes in at 95 proof. It's non-age stated, and the mash bill is undisclosed. However, this is the company's 10th release so far since 2020, which is, it's hard to believe that they've put out 10 releases so far. I don't think that includes each individual single barrel. Maybe it does. But yeah, so 10 releases since 2020. Again, Jim Rutledge over there now as the master distiller. Definitely excited to get into this batch 2. I do have a little bit of a sample of batch 1 left, so I will compare them at the end to see which one will take the crown, guys. So without further ado, let's go. So as I stated, this one is non-age stated. The mash bill is undisclosed, and it comes in at 95 proof. Let's go ahead and get into the nose. So the first three things I kind of get like a mixture of there is there's a lot of honey on it, which I think I remember getting a lot of that on batch 1. A lot of like honey, some cinnamon, and vanilla, all kind of just like intertwined. There's not really kind of any like undertones of any kind of notes on there. That's just like they're dominant right there. Honey, cinnamon, vanilla. Further into the glass, I actually do pick up some sweet oak. And again, that cinnamon is kind of in there too. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like I'm not picking up any like really dark notes, like any kind of like leather or anything like that. Any dark fruits. It's a very nice sweet rye right there. I just picked up some like a funnel cake, some powdered sugar, some funnel cake. Definitely some sweetness further away from the glass, like a little bit of fruitiness, like almost pick up like a slight hint, like almost like a lemongrass. Little bit of citrus in there, some honey, the vanilla, the cinnamon. Now, see, I don't remember pick up a lot of those aromas from batch 1, but we will compare them later. Pretty nice nose, guys. Get in the palate. Cheers. Yeah, so front of the palate, there's definitely a unique spiciness to this one. I don't recall that on the first either. I remember being spicy, but there's like a unique spiciness about this. Kind of sitting there on the middle of the palate. Do pick up that honey. Slight little hint of cinnamon there on the front of the palate. The rye spices do start to develop there, even now, onto the center of the palate. And then into the back, it does get a little unique. I get the slightest hint of like the cherry licorice on the back of the palate, right into the finish there. Yeah, I like it because to me, it's very approachable. This would be a great whiskey for someone starting out into like the rye whiskey world. Again, it's not it's not coming in at cask strength. It's 95 proof. I think it retails for 100 if I'm not mistaken. But the notes on it, it's not like, again, the spiciness isn't gonna like blow you away. It gives you a nice bite of that rye spice. You don't necessarily get the graininess of the flavor. Yeah, there's, really nice flavors on that first sip. Let's get the second one. So again, yes, some of that spiciness kind of there on the actual front of the palate there. Some of that vanilla, some spice, some rye spice. Slight little hint of cinnamon. And then again, that cherry licorice, it's a very, very faint note, but I definitely get that onto the finish and like into the back of the palate and into the finish. But now, like that second sip started to develop a little bit of fruitiness, like some pitted fruit. It's hard to say. Maybe an apricot, maybe a pear, somewhere right around there. Not any kind of dark fruit. I like the spiciness of this though. It's a unique spiciness, almost like a unique spiciness like you would get off like a something that's finished in like French oak. How that gives you such a unique spicy character. But I do like it. It's definitely dominating the center of the palate there. Sweeter kind of notes up front, maybe a little bit of lemon bread there, some cinnamon, that vanilla, and then middle of the palate, you know, that spiciness. A little bit of honey. Sip, guys. Cheers. Yeah, honey, cinnamon, vanilla up at the front. Again, I mean, the center is just coming like dominated by those spices, and not even necessarily the cinnamon. I mean, a little bit of allspice there, some rye spice. Again, don't get the grain flavor though, which is nice. And then, again, yeah, that fruitiness, that like almost like a pitted fruit, an apricot or a pear, maybe a combination of both. I mean, citrus there on the sides of the palate, not dominant. That's more of a one of like the you know, more subtle flavors. Definitely some citrus there on the sides of the palate. I almost said like that lemon bread flavor on the front there with that vanilla and that cinnamon. Love that combination of the three. I feel like this one is more unique spice driven. I feel like this one has a little bit more depth to it than the first batch. I don't remember that much depth being in the first one. I definitely enjoyed the first one, but this one has again that unique spiciness, and then I feel like a little more depth of flavor to it. Kind of steps you along with some of those flavors. Really good though. You know, really good rye whiskey here, guys, from Blue Run Spirits. All right, guys, so I just poured a little bit more of the last of my batch one, the sample that I got. So I am going to compare them very quickly here. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the nose. I feel like batch one is actually a little more fruity, like fruit forward on the nose, whereas the batch two is actually a little more candy sweetness, but then a mix of maybe some rye grain forward on the batch two. So definitely some differences in the nose. Let's go ahead and get into the palate. Yeah, again, the spiciness, the vanilla. Spicy vanilla right up there up front, a little bit of cinnamon. And then, I mean, some lemon bread there. And then the middle of the palate is that unique kind of, that unique spicy character, that flavor. And then into the back, I mean, that kind of actually lingers on into the back, where you get that very, very subtle hint of like a cherry licorice there as a finish. Let's go ahead and get into tasting notes on batch one. So to me, batch one, I feel now, I only had a little bit left of the sample, is a little more fruit dominated than spice dominated. I do get some really nice, again, that caramel, vanilla, but they're more of the undertones on this one. This one I feel packs a little bit more of that fruity punch. Well, maybe a little bit more of pear, slight hint of like a red apple, and then into the back I get more of like a like pepper, but there's a lot of citrus there on the side too. A little bit of maybe a slight hint of like orange, and then again into the back, spiciness kind of continues down. I don't get a ton of the sweet oak. Like I think I did on my initial review, but I don't really get a lot of that now. Definitely a difference between batch one and batch two. For me, I feel like batch two, I kind of like a little bit more. I do like a little bit more of that spice forward, character to it. Don't get me wrong, batch one, I really enjoyed as well, the fruity character on there. But I think the batch two kind of wins this one over for me. Again, that very unique spiciness, a lot of nice flavors up front that I did get on the batch one. But then the mid to the back of the palate is kind of really where this one was just like shining through for me. So in my opinion, guys, batch number two takes it in this doubleheader here. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to say a big thank you over to Mike Montgomery and team at Blue Run Spirits for supplying me with this bottle here to review on the channel. Guys, definitely some unique flavors in this golden rye whiskey. Again, definitely has its differences up against batch one. They each have their own thing going on. Again, I feel like when I did this doubleheader, the batch one was a little more fruit forward. This one was a little more spice dominant, which I kind of preferred. In this head to head anyway, I could try and blind and see which one comes out the winner. Again, the differences on this one again is it's definitely more spice dominated, which I do prefer personally. Big shout out to Blue Run Spirits on this batch 2 of their golden rye whiskey. So guys, if you're looking for more reviews like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty.